Hello everyone and welcome back to WNBL iTV for 2012. We are very pleased to have you aboard. Happy New Year to everybody at home. There's so much been going on around the WNBL over the last few weeks, even though we have had a very small hiatus over the Christmas New Year break, that we want to get straight into the show. But before we do, I've got to welcome back my very special co-host, Laurie Chiswick.
Thanks, Darren. I had an amazing trip overseas. That whole month just flew by. And I just want to tell you, I did one thing very special while I was away. I went Canadian dog sledding.
You're going to have to tell us exactly what that is.
Well, we got in the back of a sleigh. We had 6 dogs pulling us. We ran the thing and it was great. But as well as that, Darren, I actually managed to get to 5 basketball games just so I would keep in shape for the WNBL.
Oh, well, I'm very pleased to hear about that. But have you got my present? You haven't sort of given it to me yet.
No, it's in the mail, Darren.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Laura. I look forward to receiving it. Now, whilst you've been away, there's been so much going on in the league, and we had some exciting games in round 12, as you know, and as we always do. A bit later, we're going to be previewing what's happening in round 13. But we're going to start ITV this week with an update on the very disturbing story, Laurie, that we heard from Saturday night. I'm sure it's well known to most I guess people that are interested in the WNBL by now, that Rachel Jarry and her good friend Megan Huswaite were viciously attacked on Saturday night in Melbourne, leaving a bar, and both of them are okay. They've got some injuries, Laurie, which we've seen in the press reports, which is really very upsetting and disappointing for everyone around. But the girls are showing some great fighting spirit and have been out in the news and telling their story. And I suppose if anything's to come out of it, as Rachel tweeted a little bit earlier this week, it shows that people are conscious of the rise in violence in big cities, in particular in Melbourne, and hopefully this gets people aware of these things and a bit safer.
Well, Darren, I haven't had the chance to speak to Rachel, but I did speak to Tom Marr, and he said Rachel actually showed up to they had a team barbecue planned on the Sunday, and she showed up to that barbecue, which was fantastic, and the support of her teammates. And he's not sure if she'll be at training what day this week, but he certainly thinks that she'll be playing this weekend. Yeah, which is wonderful news if she can get back. And Megan, of course, as well, suffered some injuries, and she's been around the Bulleen team as well. She's a writer. She covers the WNBL as a journalist as well. So we wish both girls a very speedy recovery, don't we? And our thoughts are with them. It's a really tough time. Absolutely, but it's great if Rachel can get back on the court. Then it'll be wonderful to see her out there. All right, well, let's turn our attention back to last Friday night, where the Bulleen Boomers were in action against the Townsville Fire in our ABC TV Game of the Week. And Laurie, I know that you missed this one because you were somewhere between here and Canada, but for me, in their 17-point win, Bulleen probably played about as well as they've played all year. It was a really impressive performance. Well, Darren, just from what I can glean from the box scores and people I've spoken to, it was a real team effort. As you say, 6 people in double figures. I mean, that's a massive achievement. How hard is that to defend when somebody is, 6 double figures? Yeah, it really is very difficult. Now, Liz Cambage was sporting a new blonde locks, which I think was very interesting for everybody involved. We like seeing Lizzie do a few different things, but she was also great on the court. She had 22 points and was a real leader early in the game. She got them off to a great start. And then when the game was in the balance at times, or when Townsville were mounting a challenge in the third quarter, Liz was able to respond. And I guess that's something that we're really looking forward to as she develops in her game. Oh, absolutely. And I think it's the players around her, too, that have got to feed her that ball inside. And it did. It looked like she made, was a big presence in there, and they got the ball to her at real critical times. They did. And somebody else who I was impressed with, Laurie, on Friday night was Taylor Roberts. She is only 18 years of age. She was the Rookie of the Year 2 years ago at the AIS, now at her first senior club at Bulleen. And she seemed to me, and I said this in the call, she seemed to me like she'd had an injection of confidence or something over the Christmas break, because she was really good. And I think if Bulleen are to win the championship, they're going to need those young role players who Tom's riding pretty hard to come off the bench and really give them an impact. Well, she's done some good things this year, but I was really pleased to see that she did get into the scoring more than she has in other games. And it's a big learning curve coming from the Institute to be coached by Tom Marr. I think you have to get used to his style and method of coaching and the way he approaches players and that. But if she can really get on top of that, she could be a key factor for them in this latter half of the season.
Thinking quickly, Laurie, about Townsville, Chris Lucas said after the game, he was a bit disappointed. He said, our girls really need to toughen up and learn what it takes to knock off one of these better sides. I mean, how difficult is that for a team that's really only been together for sort of probably 13 weeks of the season plus a couple more pre-season? How difficult a lesson is that to learn?
Well, you know, Townsville, we know, started off really strongly and got those 7 wins in a row, and it's about developing the roles within the team and what they can do, and they really do need to, you know, take a leaf out of somebody like Boleyn and Adelaide's book and just see how strong they are, the different positions that they have out there, and, you know, they just have to keep striving for that.
One of the best on court for the Boleyn Boomers was undoubtedly their point guard, Sam Richards. And after the game, she spoke to the ABC's Rachel Spawn.
Sam, that was a very physical encounter.
It was, it really was. I think our bodies flying on the ground all the time, and you know, it shows the way Townsville play, but we had to match that to get the victory today.
We didn't actually want Tom to take you off because you had 8 assists and 10 points, so we're hoping that you're going to get a double-double with assists and points, because that doesn't happen very often.
No, not for me, it doesn't actually. I really don't get that very often. So, look, I'm just happy to contribute to the team. You know, as long as we win our games, I don't care what happens on the score sheet.
And Tom said that you actually play better post-Christmas, after the break. Did you feel that tonight, that the training was good during the week and it came together?
Yeah, I think everyone's refreshed and happy to be on holidays for a little bit, get a bit of sun. But, you know, I think for our group it's really important to keep training and, you know, keep working on the skills that we need to. We've got a young group and we've got a long way to go before we can be championship contenders.
And how do you think the young group is progressing? Because you will be in the finals, you know, you have lost a lot of players from last year. Do you think that they'll have enough experience to get you through?
Yeah, I can see already great improvements being made by the girls. I think Taylor Roberts had a great game tonight. She's showing a lot of progress, and I think that'll continue throughout the rest of the year. I think Tom's a great coach, and he'll just bring out the best in all our players.
Well done tonight, Sam.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thanks to Sam Richards there. A wonderful game she played, leading Boleyn to their victory over Townsville on Friday night. Another game played on Friday night was between the Canberra Capitals and the Sydney Uni Flames, and Laurie, once again, the comebacks were on. They were 10 points down at three-quarter time. Canberra held Sydney to just 4 points in the last quarter, and they got the win.
Well, Darren, I understand that they didn't get ahead till about the 3 or 4 minute mark of that last quarter.
It was really a remarkable performance. I mean, the Flames, they lost Belinda Snell with 5 fouls. She only played 18 minutes in the game, and that's hurt them their last 2 games. Before Christmas, she copped an injury, and then in this game, 5 fouls. Lauren King also fouled out of the game. And really, when you lose players of that calibre late in a game, as Sydney did, it's going to put you under pressure.
Oh, well, I think certainly it shows the necessity of a Belinda Snell to stay on the court for Sydney. But talking to Carrie Graff, she was very impressed and said that Michelle Cozier is making a real big difference for them. She hit a big 3 in the 4th quarter, about the 7 minute mark, and then she said she got a possession by diving on the ball and, you know, going into the score bench. And she said it was just inspirational, motivational for the team, and that really lifted everybody.
Well, Graffy said to the Canberra Times, talking about that play, she said that for most people they'd pop their neck or put their back out or something, but she said not Moose, or Michelle Cozier, her maiden name of course Musselwhite, not Moose, she belongs in the circus. So I think she should take that as a compliment.
But the other thing, Darren, I think that Bridget Odrassi is really coming into some form, and you know, she's learning her role in the team. She understands the league a little bit better, and she's put up some good numbers. She has, and I think that's helping Mariana Tolo. Let's turn our attention now to Adelaide, where the Lightning were warm favourites against the Townsville Fire, who'd suffered that bruising encounter with the Boleyn Boomers on Friday night. Michaela Cox in particular suffered, she had a black eye and I think a bit of a sore nose after that game in Boleyn. She was a little bit worse for wear, but so were the Townsville side after what Chris Lucas described, Laurie, as their road trip from hell. They went 0-2 with Adelaide getting the points. Well, you have to assume Adelaide, you know, were just sitting waiting for them after that. You know, you knew the Boleyn game was going to be really hard. But again, Susie Batkovich, 34 and 11, and not, you know, you go, she's been doing so well, but Abby Bishop is not really far off of her. She had 19 and 9 rebounds. So, you know, they're really just ticking along nicely, Adelaide.
They are ticking along. When we preview next week's games, we'll have a little bit of a chat about their run home. They've still got plenty of tough games to go, the Lightning, so I'm not prepared to give them top spot just yet.
Darren, have they had a close game recently, though? I can't remember their last close game where they were really challenged.
I wonder if they've had one since round 2, when
Yeah.
the Sydney Flames beat them by only 3 or 4 points. So, very good point. We'll have a look at that as soon as we can. Now, the AIS and the AIS had to play the Sydney Uni Flames on Saturday night. The Flames, of course, backing up after their loss to Canberra, but they were able to just get over the line. Belinda Snell returned to form with 19 points and around about 34 minutes she played. So it's good to see her back in form and in fitness. Perhaps the one slight upset this weekend, Laurie, was the Logan Thunder defeating the Dandenong Rangers. Now, it was very close in this game. Dandenong was still ahead with 2 minutes to go, but Kristen Veal and Sarah Graham, who I know is the coaching just about Olaf's favourite player in that side, without wanting to put down any of the others, but Sarah Graham and Kristen Veal came up with big triples down the stretch to win them the game.
Big game that win for Logan is, because they're a couple of those teams that are really battling for spots, percentages, all those things. And, you know, I don't even know if we can say it's an upset anymore because the ladder's just so close.
Renee Camino was best for Logan with 28 points, and I know it'll please you to see her running back into some good form.
Well, the other thing, too, is Renee and then her teammate Kayla, another double-double. She has just been so consistent this season. Very, very impressive.
The final game to round out round 12 of WNBL action was over in Perth, where the West Coast Waves were in front of Bendigo at quarter time by just 1 point. But after that, the Spirit really got cracking and they shot the ball significantly better, around about 46% to West Coast, 32%. And once again, when Bendigo are playing at their best, Laurie, they're able to get a spread of scorers. They had Smith, Madgen, Harrower, all got involved on the score sheet, and that was too good for the Waves.
Well, they do, and we know they execute well, they make the extra pass, and it looks like it was a real team effort.
Let's have a look at the ladder, and we'll see the Bendigo Spirit in the top 5, Laurie, for the first time this season. 8 wins and 6 losses. We'll preview their round 13 matchup with Dandenong in a minute, but the Rangers, with that loss in Logan, plummet from 5th to 7th. But we say this every week, it is just so congested in that middle patch that 1 or 2 results can really swing things.
Darren, are you prepared to say, that I think I am, that Adelaide and Bulleen will be in those top 2 spots pretty safely?
Yeah, I'd say so, particularly after seeing Bulleen as impressive, as I was really impressed with them, as I said, on Friday night. So.
I think both those teams have depth, they've got the scoring power, they've got all the positions covered.
But after that, it's a real lottery.
Yeah,
it's going to be fascinating. All right, stick with us on WNBL iTV. We're going to have all the previews for round 13 in a minute. But right now, it is time to head over to somebody else who's just jet-setted in from across the globe. It's Katherine Murphy, who's at the news desk.
Thanks for that, guys. Well, as discussed at the top of the show, Rachel Jarry endured a horrific ordeal at the weekend. She spoke to the Herald Sun website about her ill-fated night out.
My friend and I, we had been out to the cricket on Saturday night. We went to meet a few friends for, they were out for a friend's birthday. I had driven into the city, so we weren't drinking or anything, and just before 2 a.m, as we were walking back to my car, which was parked in Federation Square car park, we were approached by a group of 5 males and females, and they asked, for our money and our possessions, and they took everything and then proceeded to attack us and repeatedly bash us. I've got quite a swollen face and cheek, and I was repeatedly kicked, so I've got a lot of bumps and bruises head to toe really, and I'm lucky that I don't have anything broken, but yeah, I'm just a bit sore and sorry. I just think they're the lowest kind of people that you can ever be. How could you do that? How could you think that's a fun thing to do? And they were laughing throughout the incident. They thought it was hilarious, and it just makes me sick that there's people like that out there. You just have to be so aware and, not be naive enough to think that you'll be fine, and just always, try and be in as big a group as possible and stay on a main road, well-lit street and, you know, have a plan in action for when you do go out of how you're going to get home, how you're going to walk to wherever you're parked or wherever you live. I'm obviously going to be nervous for a little while and a bit hesitant to go out, but I don't want it to affect how I live my life. I don't want those, you know, cowardly people to win in any way. So hopefully once I've dealt with it in the short term, I can enjoy my life. And the same goes for basketball. You know, I love playing, so I know physically I'm okay and emotionally I'll get there.
Best wishes to Rachel in her recovery. Well, we move on to this week's Player of the Week, and the award goes to Adelaide's Susie Bakovic for her amazing performance in her side's win over Townsville. She scored 34 points and had 63% accuracy in her field goal attempts, to go along with 11 rebounds and 4 assists. Finally, we have an injury update from Townsville Fire, and we can confirm that Michaela Cox will play this weekend. We've spoken to coach Chris Lucas. She, of course, had a very nasty collision in that game at the weekend against Bulleen and sustained a nose injury as well as head and neck soreness. She did, of course, play in the second game of Fire's road trip against Adelaide at the weekend. And as I said, we've spoken to her coach. He said that she is tough as, and playing this weekend was never in doubt. Good for her and best of luck at the weekend. That's it from me for this week. Back to you guys.
Well, thanks, Katherine. And Laurie, as she said, it is good news for Townsville and Michaela Cox that she's going to be playing this week. I guess it's a bit of a silver lining after going 0-2 on that tough road trip.
Oh yeah, you never want to see anybody miss any games on any road trip, so good that she's back.
Now, as we say every week, please get in contact with us on WNBL iTV. Jump on the WNBL's Facebook page and like it, and also tweet the WNBL at WNBL and try and get involved with our program here, Laurie. And this week we've got a viewer's question. It comes from Isabel Silbury, and she asked Laurie, what does the Christmas break, what effect does it have on the players individually and on the teams, and what teams do you think benefit most from it?
Well, it's a good question, Darren, and everybody, each coach in each club sort of handles it differently. You'll have some that, you know, just go take a break, don't want to hear from you, see you, come back in 10 days or whatever it is. Some will get individual programs, some might have some team workouts. The length will vary. And it's interesting because it's so crucial this second, well, it's not even half the season, it's really the tail end of the season, because it's so close, how those teams manage that Christmas break. As a coach, you would love to just go train, but you really do have to pull back because mentally, players need a break, physically and mentally.
Yeah, I spoke to a few of the coaches last week, and certainly, well, 3 or 4 of them said, look, we just wanted our players to go and relax. And I think I mentioned last episode of ITV, Tom Mars said he sent his girls off to have a beer and watch the cricket. So, which is certainly what I did of my Christmas break, I can tell you.
So as a coach, you sort of, and you have to get a sense of where your players are at. If they've got niggles and they need that, you know, so it does vary, but it's a really important and a fine line.
All right, let's get into the games for round 13, and the opening fixture is between the Sydney Uni Flames and the Bulleen Boomers. And who can forget, Laurie, the drama that happened when these two last met? 2-point winners, the Flames were. They lost Eva Efiaki in the game. They had a 28-point lead at one point. Bulleen came back. Scores were level at the end. You know, unbelievable until Alicia Poto and Katie Ebsbury won the game in that split second. It was a remarkable game. But, you know, that's history now. What adjustments are the coaches going to make coming out of that match?
Well, I mean, they both would have scouted each other very well, and Sydney's had to make, you know, adjustments for Eva being gone. But Darren, what I really like is it's number 2 versus number 3. Yep. The other factor that might play into it is Natalie Stafford had her first game back last weekend, and we know that she had a great season last year. So I think each time she's on the court, she'll get better. So she could be somebody that we need to sort of have a look at. Yeah, she missed about 10 weeks with a foot injury, so it's great to have her back on court, and much needed depth, I think, for the Flames. Well, another game which is of huge significance in the run home towards the finals is our ABC TV match for broadcast. The game is on Friday night. Our coverage on ABC will be on Saturday afternoon. But Laurie, it's the game between Bendigo and Dandenong, and I know you're looking forward to this. It's 1-1
their season records against each other, and who's going to handle the pressure?
Wow, Darren, I can't wait to call this game. You're right. It's about head-to-head. It's about just getting those wins at this time of the season. And we know that Bendigo plays a lot of away games, so it's really important that they get this W.
What are the best matchups in this one?
Oh, well, look, you've got Christy Harrower and McLeod. You've got Phillips and Richards, and then O'Hay will be guarded by either Madgen or Smith. Wow. Yeah,
it really is impressive. The thing about Dandenong, they're on a little bit of a slide. At the moment, the last 3 games they have lost. Their offensive production has dropped about 8 points per game, and they've allowed about 7 more points per game at the defensive end. I'm not sure how Mark Wright's going to pull them out of this slump, but I know that it needs to start on Friday.
Well, they certainly have the players that are capable of doing it. I think Kathleen McLeod's been a little bit quiet the last few weeks, and so she'll certainly want to, you know, get back in the groove this in 2012. So. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pick a winner, Darren.
All right, that's our match for broadcast on ABC TV next Saturday afternoon. The match, of course, will be on Friday night. The Townsville Fire and the AIS do battle also on Friday night up north. And, Laurie, last time these sides played, the Fire knocked them off. Oh, sorry, the AIS knocked off Townsville.
Yes, and I'm sure the coach will be reminding the players, and they will not want that to happen again, and I certainly can't see it happening, especially in Townsville.
Yeah, it'll be very, very tough for them. I think there's no doubt about it. It will also be tough for the West Coast Waves to play the Adelaide Lightning. That's their first of 2 games this weekend. They're playing at home against the Lightning. The 2 previous occasions they've met this year, Laurie, the Lightning won by over 20 points, and you expect something similar?
I absolutely do, Darren, and I think at this time of year, Adelaide just want to be fine-tuning things. They don't want to drop their foot off the pedal at all. They just want to keep going. And, you know, it shows respect for a team if you do play hard and beat them by a respectable margin.
Particularly when you've got more talent, as we think that Adelaide do. And Adelaide are comfortably sitting on top of the ladder at the moment. And I said a little bit earlier that, you know, well, they've got a tough run home. They've still got to play Bendigo and Dandenong twice. They've got to play Bulleen. They've got to play, they've got to play Bulleen, and they've also got to go on the Queensland Road double. They've got to play at Logan and at Townsville in consecutive days. So, as I said before, Laurie, they deserve to be where they are. They're an excellent side, but I'm not prepared to concede top spot to them yet.
Well, Darren, I was just thinking as you were saying that, when's the last time that Adelaide had a really close game?
Yeah, I think it might have even been back in about round 2.
Yeah,
I can't recall one. Sydney beat them.
I don't think having some really tough games leading into the finals is such a bad thing for them. I think it'll in fact get them better and really prepared for that. As
I said, the West Coast Waves have got a couple of games this weekend, and after their match on Friday night against the Lightning, they travel to Melbourne and they play the Dandenong Rangers out at the Dandenong Basketball Stadium on Sunday. And Laurie, the Rangers got them pretty comfortably last time they met, and the interesting thing though is the Rangers will also be backing up after a game earlier this weekend.
Well, that's true, Darren, but I just think the fact that West Coast have to make that longer trip, that Dandenong are still fighting for a playoff spot, whereas West Coast aren't, that certainly the Rangers will get over the line. But Darren, weren't the West Coast girls doing weren't they a little bit out and about? I had to get that word in for you.
Yeah, the Canadian phrase, out and about. I love it. Now, they actually were. Perth's Week of Weeks is, of course, the Hopman Cup, Laurie. Now, all the celebrities and all the Perth glitterati, they're all out and about down at the Burswood Dome, and some of the West Coast Waves girls, I should say, girls got out and about. And here's some shots of Melissa Marsh and Kay Tucker holding the Winners Awards, which is they're a fancy tennis ball is what they are, Laurie. It's a gold tennis ball, and it's covered with diamonds as well, and it's worth around about $70,000. They had the VIP treatment over there, and I'll tell you what, it's something that I'm sure that they enjoyed, and I know that you've enjoyed it from time to time, the VIP treatment, so maybe you can tell me about it sometime.
Well, we know the Rangers go to the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's good to see the girls getting out and having a good time.
It was wonderful to see. Now, the Canberra Capitals and the Bendigo Spirit do battle on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. It's a match that can be heard live on WNBL.com.au through WNBL Radio and also through your Red Time Sport app if you download that for your smartphone. And Laurie, this is a crucial match. They played a bit earlier in the year. Bendigo beat Canberra by just 4 points in what was frankly one of the worst games of basketball we've seen. But both teams seem to be in form now, so we're expecting a much higher quality encounter.
Well, Canberra don't have a game, so they'll be waiting for Bendigo. Bendigo, we know, will have that tough game against Dandenong. Bendigo, I'm still not convinced that they're consistent this season. I just think their form's been a little up and down, and certainly Canberra seems to be a little bit on the up right now. So, yeah, that'll be a good game.
Yeah, they've won 4 of their last 5, the Capitals, so they are looking pretty good, and they'll be desperate to continue their run of good form in that one. The final game from round 13 sees the Logan Thunder playing the AIS, and once again, the second tail end of a row, the AIS will be struggling perhaps against a fit Logan side.
And Logan are just knocking on the door of that 5th spot, so they're not going to want to take this lightly, and they will definitely get the W.
All right, that's about all we've got time for WNBL iTV next week. Make sure you stay in contact with us on Facebook and also through Twitter. Laurie, look forward to doing it again.
Sounds good to me, Darren.
We'll see you all again next week.